right there. Never mind. You already know what it is. It's time for the A Narrative Media Production coming at you live. This is the historical voices from the
particularly
Eastside
portrayal of the AGA. What do you think of?
Sponsored by
Let's call them what
The Dora Milaje, should we just call them that since you know how to pronounce it?
Because that was something that's actually been
and
upload progress.
That's why all of this is just it's a lot of it's mixed to put it kind. It's been mixed reception wise. Like
to be woke is to be aware of what is around you. The sufferings of others are included in that. How your actions affect other people are included in being woke. We got we got grandma over here undercutting the parents. That's what we got.
Grandma was sitting there hitting the fucker. She was chilling on the
left, man. She was in a good mood.
Grandma was. That's basically, isn't that how grandparents are history? Like, they ain't my kids. Let me be wild.
But it also has given places where we can actually utilize it for journalism. We can use it for protest. We can use it to be able to get ideas to kind of coagulate a little bit better.
Tell the whole world about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, people who form the gender norms, and people who say, you know what, fuck that. Don't worry about this. The rest of this introduction, we just going to say right now, thank you for joining our podcast. This is the Historical Voices from the East Side. If you are looking over to that side, they have this fantastic, wonderful young human being. He is our voice of reason for this actual week. We call him Jonathan, a.k.a. JT, Tha Voice. Give him a round of applause. All right. Now, with that, right below there's a guy who actually does all of the actual reviews. He goes to the movie theaters. He fights all of the sticky popcorn kernels on the movie theater floor. He looks at people and says, you know what? Fuck that. This is too empty. We got to make this bitch live. So we're going to do some weird shit in here to make this goddamn movie theater make some money. This is a guy. He's a certified A-lister, AMC Star membership holder. Give a round of applause for Jamel, a.k.a. Jamel Watson, Eastside reviewer, right here. I know y'all got that A-list. Don't you?
What the fuck was that intro, bro?
Don't you act like you don't have that. Man, this intro is about as good as the movie that we reviewed. We already established this.
So you saying that was a 50% intro?
That was a 50%. That was not me fully invested. That was not me. It was extra, but it was not as extra. It's like when you realize that the person has stretched out the mac sauce with water. That's what that is. It's just that. So with that, thanks a lot, gentlemen, for joining us. I apologize, everybody, for being a tad bit late. But guess what? If you're listening on the podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts from, guess what? You're right on time. Just make sure that you listen to the show.
Guys,
okay, go ahead.
Real quick. I accidentally went down a rabbit hole.
He always goes down a rabbit hole.
Did y'all know that there was an old 1995 USA American TV series called The Office?
Yes.
Based on a British TV series called Upstairs Downstairs, which is disconnected from the American version of The Office, which is based on the British version of The Office. The only reason that I looked this up is for some reason I searched Kevin Conroy and he was on that show. That blew my mind a little bit. But continue. Just my little rabbit hole.
Oh, no, it's okay, man. It's all right. I'm gonna start getting some background music for when you go down a rabbit hole. We're gonna have like a kicker sound. He went down a rabbit hole. So he went from the east side to the west side, JT. So with that, I'm gonna do something different, man, and I feel like we should kind of keep doing it. It's kind of similar to what everybody started off with. So I'm gonna pay a little homage to my military career. When I was in the Army with a basic training, I had this drill sergeant. Fucking hate the guy. Love some of his methodology though when it comes to actually mental health aspect of it. His name was Drill Sergeant Salcedo, and he used to actually tell us all the time, private. The Army will give you 100%, but take away 99. You got to hold on to that 1% to be able to get you through this term. So when I ask you, JT, what's your 1%? I'm asking you, what's that one thing that you did this week for yourself, man, to make sure that you had a good week? What was that 1% for you, baby? Damn.
You're assuming I had a good week.
Man. No, we gotta do something for you, dog.
First off, fuck a 1%. Okay, you are 100% of a human. Yes, so I don't know how they I don't know how anybody bought the idea that 1% is good enough for you, because that is a crock of shit, my friend.
1% is not good enough for you, but like sometimes life does take 99% away from you. So you gotta hold on to that 1% chance. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, you gotta Doctor Strange that shit up. And so, what's that one thing, man? What's that one thing for you that you did, man? It could be like, man, you know what? I took a little extra off the top on my little bottle of peanut butter whiskey, or you know what? I had a little bit of extra kush today.
Haircut, bro.
Okay, fair enough. You faded the sides. Fade the sides. Okay.
That's about it.
That's something for
my barber. I was like, dog, just do it up, man. Just do it up. He did it good. Holla at JJ over presidential.
Okay, cool. Nothing wrong with JJ. JJ is the heavyset guy with the locks, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, big shout out.
He don't have no locks no more, but yeah, he used to.
He cut his locks? Damn.
Yeah, they're gone.
All right, well, fair enough. Now, with that, Jamel, same thing for you, buddy. What was your 1%, man, this week?
Oh, mine's coming tomorrow. I took the day off of work.
Fair enough, man. Respect that, buddy. Respect that. And we got a beautiful trip coming up, man. Big shout outs to graduation and people being black educated. Big shout outs to your niece
2 weeks
graduating from school, man. With that, we are starting off the show with the Velvet Freight Train of the week. And I'm going to give a big shout out. It's actually for one group, but I'm going to focus on one specific person for this, because technically this is going to the actual the Writers Guild of America. I want to give a big shout out to them for actually still standing up and doing the actual picketing and stuff like that for the actual writer's strike. But I want to specifically highlight one person, Mark Bernardin. If you don't know Mark Bernardin, he was a writer for Star Trek, as well as he's done many projects with He-Man, so Masters of the Universe, actually on Netflix. He wrote that with Kevin Smith as well. And also he has been writing on Castle Rock, if you don't know about that. He's done plenty of projects, and he used to be an actual writer for other places. And he went on the actual Fat Man Beyond podcast and did a specific podcast highlighting in detail what the actual purpose behind it. In a lot of places, it's been kind of very convoluted on what the actual purpose of the actual strike was about itself. So I want to give a actual Velvet Freight Train. Last week, I joked about it last week. I didn't have anybody because nobody really did anything. We had the actual first authentic person being Harry Belafonte, but I want to give an actual big shout out to Mark Bernardin for being an actual voice for something that has been really tough to actually talk about. If y'all listen, have you heard about Blade, JT and Jamel?
What is new about Blade? I thought it was still in production limbo.
Bruh, it is. Production limbo is a beautiful way of saying it, man. They have a new writer, showrunner, director, who was the same director from True Detectives. But the problem is he got the job like 2 days before the actual writing strike happened. So that's a problem. So it was supposed to be started filming in June, and now they can't film that shit for a while. Low-key got pushed back into October because of the situation with Jonathan Majors. It's becoming kind of a murky situation, man, with a lot of the actual projects out there. Abbott Elementary is not going to have really any new episodes during the fall. There's a lot of shows that's just being pushed back because of this writer strike. And a lot of companies are cushioning their actual loss of content by doing reality TV shows, which...
That's what happened the last time that we got the writer strike. It was a lot of reality shows. And we got a lot of mediocre and bullshit stuff that came out afterwards. So,
correct.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
It
is not going to be
fun. Now, but I mean, luckily enough, I sent that link to you. Luckily, Mortal Kombat is coming out in September, man. So I'm going to be very, very entertained and sucking for the next few months after that, man. With that, man, congratulations to Mark Bernardin for being our second Velvet Freight Train of the week. Now, JT, what's some other news that happened for you this week, man?
Man, a lot of we've seen a lot of Ja memes. The internet has been roasting him, but that's Jamel's thing. So we're gonna wait for him to come back and he can talk more about that.
Okay, so
talk about the playoffs, man, because I haven't been watching it.
I haven't really been watching the playoffs as much. I know that the big deal has been, well, here's the thing, man. I feel like I already know who's going to win. If it's not going to be, if on the East and the West, when it comes to the playoffs, if it's either going to be Denver or Lakers, hands down in the West. But it's kind of guaranteed who's going to be in the East. And Jamel actually has been posting a lot. Who's going to come out the East when it comes to the NBA, Jamel?
Here's the thing. I have no faith in either of them teams in the East for winning the championship. It's if Denver, LA, that's your champion, because I have no faith in Boston. Them characters are inconsistent. Mm-hmm. And Miami, they are a Jimmy Butler injury away from being straight basura. So if Jimmy Butler can, tap into Ultra Instinct, I think they're gonna win, because I trust Jimmy. I trust Eric Spoelstra to get the Heat out the East and West. Whew, that's going to be a chess match between how they do with Denver and with the Lakers. That is going to be a fascinating series. So yeah, I think Denver on paper has been the best team in the playoffs. They've played the best. They've been locked in. They've been focused. But man, you can't count out a LeBron James team. It is tight at the end of the third quarter as the Lakers lead by 3 points. So this should be a fun series. So yeah, I'm going with Denver, but I ain't confident in it.
Well, see, you actually said it better, man, than I was. See, I was actually thinking that it was going to be hands down the Heat coming out the actual East. I think that it was just going to be tougher to pick between the Lakers and Denver because of the fact that it seems like Lakers got a better big man versus actual Denver, or at least like.
I mean, Jokic is pretty. Anthony Davis can be inconsistent, and Jokic is, again, you've been locked in. Denver's been locked in, and this is the first time that they've really had all their people healthy into the playoffs. So, the thing that's going to win the Lakers this series, Anthony Davis got to play out of his mind like it's the bubble, and LeBron gonna give you one game. Like one classic LeBron James, I'm taking it back to Miami game. All the great MVP players do that. Steph does that. Mm-hmm. Kevin Durant can do that. Mm-hmm. LeBron, he gonna give you one. So it ain't no sweep situation. But that joke in Philadelphia, Lord have mercy. That big fella in Philadelphia. But JT, I want to ask you. Let's get into JT, because we had not necessarily an argument, because reasonable minds can have different viewpoints. We talked about my fellow Jamel, Ja Morant, and the recent antics, the recent shit that he's been getting into involving the pew-pews, and young man has been living he's been living reckless. Demetrius Jamel Morant has been living a little reckless. And you brought up, and I think I wanted to just quickly because I think the different situations that we saw with a man that also ran Grand Rapids' own Chris Kaman a couple years ago was, doing the typical ultra, mid-American white thing. I'm posting guns. Ooh, I look cool with this. My dick's huge. And you got Ja Morant. And so, JC, I wanted to just talk about this and kind of get your viewpoints on and express in front of listeners, viewers, your viewpoints, and then we can just get that conversation started. So please.
I think Charles Barkley said it great. He basically said, young boy, what you doing? You in the league. You don't need the street life. What are you doing? And some people just addicted to the drama. They just addicted to the life, and that's what I think is going on with Ja, because obviously he can't leave it alone. The funny thing is, like, dog, you got NBA money, you had sneaker money until Nike done pulled your shit off the shelves, off the app. You know what I'm saying? So like we done seen what happens when these shoe companies pull your shoe. We seen it happen to Kanye. He lost 1.5 bill or something like that. So what, like, Ja, I don't think he understands that the money is not in playing in the league. The money is in the sponsorship. And in order for the sponsors to come and mess with you, you got to have a squeaky clean image. Because Kobe Bryant could take a girl to the hotel, and then as soon as she decided to say that, oh, he raped me or whatever, and the allegations come out, oh, no, you just regretted it? Okay. But Kobe had to change his jersey number from 8 to 24 for crying out loud because of all that. And I don't think Ja understands, dog, you are one accusation away from being a rap. And it don't matter how good you ball. If you toxic, who gonna handle you? Oh, there are teams that would pick you up, I suppose. But that's not the point. You might have to go out in overseas and play like Dwayne. Play like
see, I have a huge problem.
The shit that gets on my nerves with Ja Morant is that,
go ahead.
When you look at the LeBron James story and the Kevin Durant story, those dudes didn't really have their fathers in their lives. LeBron James had a kind of chaotic existence growing up. Like he was, you look into the LeBron James story. This man, from the moment that he got into the league, maybe it's because he was prepped, but LeBron James has handled being the face, basically a child star, so well. Like the one thing that people didn't really like was the decision, but even that, it was just a born TV special. Kevin Durant, say which, like, people criticize him for leaving Golden State. Kevin Durant in the burner accounts. The man hasn't committed no crimes. He's lived his life. He's been law-abiding. He set that example. Ja Morant grew up with both a mother and a father. His mother was a softball player in college. His father was was a teammate of Ray Allen's back in the day. He's a barber. He played semi. He grew up with both of his parents in his life. My man, you ain't in. He trying to be gangster so well, and the thing is that, look, it's gonna be your freedom or your life. One of them two things is gonna get cost. The way that he's going about things, freedom of life, because in certain cities, Chicago, in the Louisiana area, and where he played, Memphis. You pull a gun out and you play with that gun, you have that, you're going to run into some people who are going to test that, or the police. And wow, it's not unusual for police to shoot a black dude, especially one who may be armed. So it's just blatant stupidity. And like history, go ahead, jump in.
Man, I have a problem with this, man. Only reason why I have a problem with this is the fact that we keep saying that because he has parents, right? And he came from a better life. But yet and still, we just talked about it earlier. We had Kanye West, who did come out with versions of fucking like gangster rap music and versions of it at point in time, you know what I mean? Or like the black skin hit and shit like that. His mom was a fucking social activist, but this nigga just talked about like Hitler as well, which knowing Hitler really didn't give a fuck about anybody unless you had blonde hair and blue eyes, right? So realistically,
Hitler didn't have blonde hair.
Yeah, which makes no sense, but he fought that shit, right? And then we talk about like the same thing with like our greatest, like best example is my man O'Shea Jackson. We got Ice Cube saying "fuck the police" and doing all this other versions of West Coast gangster rap, but yet and still he had parents who were working as professors at school and other stuff like that, right? So realistically, don't we can't put the parents in this perspective, right? What we can do,
you can when his mama is calling him up to the mall to be like, "Hey, I got into this issue," and look, I understand we've all got mamas. We want to protect our mama. You rich, bro. Don't you have goon? Like that's what your goons are for. That's
no,
what your security are for.
That has nothing to do with it. People need to be able
and
to.
Also,
go ahead.
Here's the thing, and with that story went at the Memphis Mall, you act like they kind of act like those people at the mall don't have people who are in the element too, who are not afraid to bring that gun up there and cause some fire. So it's a whole mama hire it going.
We gotta accept though, dog. We gotta accept that we are in a generation where this dude is like in his early 20s, right? And we in a generation where, that's what the music, that's what the hip hop culture was, and everything like that. And so, like, we really just gotta blame culture, right? In this perspective, he is aligning himself with culture, and that's realistically the hands down rate of it. I know that we are saying that yes, it makes sense, but that didn't stop. Who was it? Jay-Z got a fucking charge for stabbing a person. Snoop Dogg had an actual charge for killing somebody. That didn't stop a lot of people for having silly charges. We's looking at Snoop Dogg right now, hanging out with Kevin Hart, doing commentary on the Olympics. And these are same dudes who dig gangster and hip hop music. We love Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne shot his damn self. You know what I mean? So realistically, come on, dog. We gotta like
some of these them dudes was in the
hold on. What's history? What's your point? We really gotta what?
We really got to get over the idea that like this man, yes, he's flashing a gun on that, but like that doesn't mean that he is necessary. We're taking it as the image of him trying to like live a thug life, right? But he's not really doing that. He's just basically like, yeah, I look gangster with an Instagram for a couple of photos. He's not sitting there and actually going out there getting RICO charges. I don't understand the harshness behind it. You get what I'm saying? I get what an imagery is, and in that, yes, he's supposed to be an NBA person, but maybe you just need to be able to understand this man is just having fun on Instagram. That's really what it is. And some people wear masks and some people don't. You know what I mean? Some people like to wear saggy pants. You think that all those dudes are coming to the fucking games with a suit on and it matters? Hell no. Those boys live a different life. You see LeBron James having fucking pictures where he's like this the whole time. But we love him. We love some LBJ. You know what I mean? Nah, man. Leave that boy alone. If he shoots somebody, then yes, now we can hold him accountable. But let that man have fun. They got
or if he gets shot. That's the thing.
That's on him. That's on him. But let him do his thing. We should not be suspending this man, and he hasn't done nothing.
Look, let's deal with some reality. Let's deal with a couple things, a couple pieces of reality. First off, having two parents in the house don't mean you ain't gangster. Having two parents in the house don't mean you still don't struggle. You know what I'm saying? So one of the reasons that you go to the streets is because you're struggling and you're trying to find a way to get out. You go outside, you stand on the corner, you sell you some rock, and you all of a sudden, I got enough money that I can buy a car and get out this hood. Yeah. But the funny thing about Ja is like you go to the league so you don't have to do the street life.
Mm-hmm.
But this Negro is trying to bring the street life with him everywhere he goes. This boggles my mind. And because, at the end of the day, what I don't know what his motivations are, but at the end of the day, for me, my motivations are to have a good day, good health, and prosperity for myself and my family. So if I don't see why you can't have that and just leave the streets alone because they don't need you.
But what has he done to really bring the street light other than taking pictures with him with the gun?
Well, there's the incident when they were playing Indiana where there was a laser that would be on a pistol that was pointed at the Indiana Pacers bus. There's the fighting incident at his home where him and the 17-year-old got into an incident. There was another incident at a volleyball game. also involving his mother. There are a lot of incidents with Ja Morant that he's been involved in that are very reckless, similar to Allen Iverson. And the difference is Allen Iverson had charm to him. Ja Morant really don't have that. I love,
No, that's
you
the
know,
same.
you want to
That's
see this post. You want to, can I finish the point?
No.
Like,
Finish
my
what
point is this. Also, if your boss says, hey, don't do this reckless thing or there'll be consequences, don't do the reckless thing. That's simple as that. Like, we all got jobs. You can't be showing up for your job. If your boss says, hey, don't do this thing, don't do the thing. That's all you got to not do. And his boys know, because in that last video, the most recent one, his boy was actually, soon as he saw Ja Morant pull the gun out, his boy immediately put the camera down. It ain't really the people hanging around with. It's on Ja. Some need to have, like, dude needs some therapy. Something's going on with him.
Don't even give me the gun. Don't even give me the gun, man. You know
He's got pressure.
I love that fucking.
And that's the thing. I think it might be the pressure of him because, like I said in our little group chat, he got a lot on him. He's got a whole NBA franchise on him, basically a city on his back. He got the fact that he's now the up-and-coming young American basketball star. He one of the new faces of Nike. The NBA is going to make him one of the new faces of the league. And again, he only 23 years old. That is a lot of shit to handle. That is a lot to handle, and maybe he don't want it like that. Who knows? I ain't in his head. I ain't no psychiatrist. All I'm saying is you keep flashing that gun around in these certain cities. Somebody gonna test you, and don't pull that out unless you want to use it, or the cops might fuck you up. So that's just it.
Like the only thing that I would sit there and say is if I was Ja's PR team or his friends, stop throwing up C's like you're a Crip because you're not one. All right. But other than that, if you pull out a gun on the stream, dog, have fun. Do whatever the fuck you want to do. Because we can't sit there.
He wasn't rolling his window down, busting out shots like them other people on the stream was.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
He wasn't.
This fool was rolling around in an open air van or open air Jeep with the gun out. And again, it's just blatantly stupid.
He ain't is he shooting anybody with it? Is he shooting
the cops? That's all I'm saying. It don't matter.
It don't matter.
When do the cops? When do the cops care if black people have guns or don't have guns? His ass could have got shot. All
right. Go.
You're right. But it's not illegal. That's what I'm saying. It's not illegal.
So
it goes against what his boss told him to do. But his boss told him to do some shit that was smart. You know, but he didn't tell him, oh, you can't do it because it's illegal. Yeah. He said, don't do that shit because it's not smart.
So I think that he shouldn't be
the money's the least of his concern, is all I'm saying. Yeah. Make smarter choices before some shit happens. That's the bottom line.
I think Ja Morant should just stop throwing up C's like he's a Crip. And I think that'll lessen a lot of his problems. If he stops associating himself with the gang aspect of it, then yes, that makes sense. But the argument has been more about the fact that he's been taking pictures and videos. He got one that he was in a strip club with a gun. And how many dudes go to the fucking strip club? It's not illegal to go to a strip club. I don't understand why it's a big deal. He's a 23-year-old dude. You mean to tell me this man is not out there fucking? He's got to be out there.
The strip club ain't the deal. It's the fact that the man.
You don't go to the strip club if you try.
That ain't the big.
But still, dudes do it. Dudes do it. And so you
to waste some money.
Also on top. I mean, so waste money.
Also, why? I don't get why dudes take their shirts off in strip clubs. It's like, bro, that's kind of defeating the purpose. Like, you ain't performing. You keep your stuff on. They take their stuff off. You not on stage.
You don't like skin contact? I mean, you don't want Mercedes.
Strip club, depends on what. If it's in Atlanta, I do. But if it's in one of these rinky-dink ass cities, like a sad strip club that's in Denver, I would not want.
What if they in
that seems like it'd be a drag.
What if they in the champagne room?
But then he got some. He got a whole nother class of problems.
I swear that shit never crosses my mind. Why are you worried about other dudes in the champagne room?
That's what but that's what the videos are. It's like that. Or then they have the recent one on Instagram. I'm like, the dude is just flashing a gun. That's really all it is. And it's not illegal for him to own a gun. So I don't see the big deal when it comes to that. The only problem
the big deal. Let's talk about the big deal. Hold on. There is a big deal. Because you got to remember, even though Ja may know what he's doing, all the little kids watching him don't know what he's doing. So they think, ooh, I need to go get me a gun so I can go to the champagne room. You see what I'm saying? Like that's what they gonna connect it with. They go connect. Oh, I'm gonna go out with my friends. We need to have a piece with us because that's how we look cool. This is the problem, and the issue is you need, generally speaking, two parents in order to give their kids context for that. But you also got to monitor what your kids do on the internet, which is hilariously difficult in this day and
age. I firmly disagree because of the fact that like we have PG-13 content with, like, for example, Marvel. We talk about Marvel all the time. And we just had Guardians of the Galaxy. Star-Lord shoots guns. Gamora has a sword. They shoot weapons all throughout the whole time. And that's supposed to be a pew pew. Obviously, the element, we know what it is. We sell Nerf guns to kids. We sell water guns with kids. We are a culture that like incubates the idea of guns no matter what. So we can't sit there and say the imagery of John Moran is there.
History. If you want to talk about that, you also have to bring up the escapism that is the violence can't be perpetrated against humans. It's only against others. So that's why they love the aliens. They love the robots in Marvel. And because they can go shoot the shit out of them. They can go shoot the crap out of these aliens and robots with no problem. But as soon as you start saying, let's go shoot these Nazis, all of a sudden, oh, Captain America went too far.
Yes. But at the same token, we got other video games. I just talked about Mortal Kombat. We got video games like fucking Call of Duty. And I am not sitting there saying video games lead to violence. What I'm just saying is the imagery, if we're going to use the idea of imagery and being the face of something, then we should associate it to multiple different things. We can't be having selective outrage about particular aspects of it. We incubate a culture of guns and stuff like that. That is well beyond that man just being on screen with an Instagram. It's just one of the actual causes and effect of that aspect of it. You got Mr.
We can have two different conversations though. Like we can be mad and have two different reasonable conversations about this young man doing some reckless shit and also America having a weird ass obsession with guns. Those can be two different conversations that we can have. He's doing some stupid. He's being very stupid with how he's going about it. And freedom, life, money, are gonna get costs. Okay,
I get it, and I'm just saying that he's not no different than a lot of other dudes that was sitting there screaming out there with blood when Lil Wayne was doing it. He's not no different.
You know why he's different than them? Because he's not. He is a fucking franchise player in the NBA. And that's the difference. These dudes don't have that. Why? Okay. No, you know.
No. Finish what you're saying.
We've all made our points.
Move on, y'all. We done beat this dead horse.
We agree to disagree on this, and that's perfectly fine. I just say that, like, man, if you're gonna do that,
we said we agree, we disagree. You going on history? Come on. Let's get into this.
Disagree. Don't you cut me off when I made my final thought. Don't you ever do that again. I'm gonna keep making my thought.
Wrap it up, nigga.
You know what? Wrap it up, nigga. Bro, you dictated the conversation way before me. Go ahead. All right, go ahead. No, man, what's your next story, man? Shit, fuck you now.
No, you got.
Let's talk about Britney Spears. Let's talk about Britney Spears' kids leaving her for Hawaii to go to Kevin. Let's talk about her divorce and shit like that.
Britney Spears has never mattered to me.
I know. I firmly do agree with that, man.
Oops, I did it again. I'm gonna say that.
Yeah, her aspect of life. I think that though I think that we should have so much outrage for her that we have for her when it comes to certain situations for other celebrities. That's the only part I think that is kind of valid on her part. A lot of the things that she was saying recently about, like, they caught it on the video arguing with a kid, and one of them was you kind of heard the kid talk a slide to her, and she was like, man, I'm a woman of, like, you're gonna treat me like a woman with wealth or of worth, I'm sorry. And so, like, you can kind of see that, like, she feels like the world is kind of against her sometimes. And granted, kids talk slide to you, and so sometimes you got to remind kids about that shit. But, like, one of the things that they recently did was kids was coming out and saying that, like, they right to live with the dad, and now it looks like her ex-husband want to leave. But that's not the problem that we need to talk. That's not the topic that we want to talk about, man. What else has been new, Jamel, in the news, man?
Shit.
That's dope. That's all you had was with the John Moran thing.
That was the main thing for me. That was the main little story that in the playoffs. That's all I've been focused on. And of course, the release of Fast X is upon us. It drops officially probably at midnight, and of course comes out tomorrow. Jesus Christ, we got to 11 of these damn mainline movies, and it's probably going to end up being 12. Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Hold on,
Fast
I'm sorry.
X.
You said that there was Fast X.
X.
That's 10.
Fast X.
So
Plus Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah.
that's
what
we're
runs up
counting.
to it.
Hobbs and Shaw.
I'm counting. I'm counting that as number 11.
It was a Fast and Furious presents.
Yeah.
Fast and Furious. Also, I recommend searching up this video of this man breaking down the weird ass title history of the Fast movies, where it's like they use Roman numerals. They don't. For some reason, they use Fast in some titles and just Furious in others. It is pretty hilarious. The movies should have ended at Furious 7. That should have been the last movie. Paul Walker died right off into the sunset, but this series is going to limp and struggle to the finish
they should have
line.
called
It
it
is
something
going to be
different than the Fast and Furious. You know what I'm saying? Like they scared to change their identity, but they done been with Paul Walker and Vin Diesel, and now that he's gone, get something different. But MFs be scared to change a name, dog. This is why you have people who don't get married no more. They be scared to change a name.
Well, can I ask a question, man?
Vin Diesel is the problem.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna be honest. Vin Diesel, it's gotten to the point.
Answering the calls to make another movie.
Dog, he seems to take this shit way too seriously, and I'm like,
well,
dog,
if you're making money off of it, it's not like they're scratching and clawing for a Chronicles of Riddick movie. You know what I mean?
It's probably just easy. It's probably easy for him to make a Fast and Furious movie because he ain't got to do nothing but sit in the car and do this, and make a bunch of car noises with his mouth, and then they put a stunt driver in the car and then CGI the rest.
It's hilarious because I think Vin Diesel probably think all his characters are in real life, and they just different. Like he probably really think he the Iron Giant, and he's me and him are about the same damn height. I really think he probably think he grew. Like how tall is Vin Diesel? Let me Google that real quick.
So, I really wanted to ask you a serious question about the Jamie Foxx. Did y'all hear about y'all know that he's out of the hospital and stuff like that? And
he's been out of the hospitals for weeks apparently.
Yeah. So I have a question about that, man. I know that we said multiple times about other issues because we just brought up the Britney Spears. That was going to be actually my transition, my segue to it is the situation with Jamie Foxx. I feel like we as people who are fans feel like we are really entitled to a person's life. Do you understand what I'm saying about that, or do you think I get what I'm saying?
This is the problem with public celebrities.
Yes,
is you feel like, oh, they're not a private citizen. I know them. I watch them in movies. I know them. I know Jamie Foxx. I've seen him in all kinds of stuff. I loved him in Ray. Well, that was Jamie Foxx as Ray Charles. That was Jamie Foxx just hanging out, chilling, talking to Jay Leno or something. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, this celebrity, dog, like, ain't it weird how people just get familiar?
They really have an attachment to them. And so I was going to ask this question because, like, what brought it up was not only the Jamie Foxx situation, because everybody's saying thoughts and prayers, and then you got these news articles, outlets saying, well, it's not looking good for Jamie Foxx, but apparently he's been rehabbing for weeks now.
He was out of the hospital like 3 days later.
Yeah, he was chilling and playing pickleball. A strenuous activity, by the way. And it was a big deal because of the fact that his stuntman was finishing the last few scenes and stuff like that. It was like this wild connection of like that Jamie Foxx, we're attached to him and we're holding on to his life. But then you have a situation that also follows up during the same time. Did you see the argument between that was supposed to happen between J-Lo and Ben Affleck?
Wait, I'm sorry. They're together. Yeah,
they were married. They're married now. They're married now.
I don't care. God,
so, but that's kind of like my thing. At this point in time, it should be like certain parts is like I mean, it's glad to know that like they married, right? That's cool. They got kids. They're gonna do this nepotism thing, right? But
I don't think they got kids together.
Well, they got a blended family. What I'm saying is just in general with like celebrities, right?
If there's kids in the house, that qualifies as kids, bro.
They got kids. So yeah. So people and couples fight. And so like the like some of the news articles, and I think that is just the worst because news article like paparazzi as well has been really like a force when it comes to this, and a bad problem when it comes to this. And you're going to see my last transition example as well in a second. Is the fact that like when they was taking the photo and a video of them arguing, you see Ben Affleck being like looking at the paparazzi, you look more annoyed at the paparazzi than actually the fact of J-Lo getting in the car. And so it leads to more of that pressure of like, man, we got to be good for these other people. We got to like have this public image for these other people as well, and be accessible to every single person. Then you have a situation that happened like 2 days ago. Did you hear about Harry and Meghan being chased by paparazzi? They went on a 2-hour car chase.
And that
I feel like they needed to bring John Morant with him so he could bust a couple shots
at him. So it's wild that we feel like we are entitled to these people's lives and so much. So how do you think that like there should be a stipulation, or how do you think that I'm going to go with you, JT? How do you think that we as fans need to learn how to separate ourselves from those celebrities and be able to actually kind of walk away from it? Since you always say that you don't care about those particular issues.
Yeah, because I've done this. First off, you got to understand that A, you don't know these people. B, you have no ownership of these people either. And this is something that the music labels need to understand about the artists too, but that's another story for another time. But you don't know these people, you don't own these people, and they owe you nothing. If you see somebody out with their family and you want to go get an autograph, they have every right to tell you, no, leave me alone. I'm with my family right now. You see some kids over there, they don't want daddy taken away just to go sign, a bunch of sticky notes that you done brought with you. You know what I'm saying? So like, you got to let these people live their life. And what the funny thing is, we treat celebrities like this with so much paparazzi and rah. What are they wearing at the Met Gala? What you need to do is follow these politicians around and make sure they're working for you like they need to be doing. They actually matter. When you go see these mothers, like, what you doing in Russia, bro? What you doing in Russia? You saw Ted Cruz all sneaking down to Mexico. The paparazzi need to be on his ass when he hopping on a plane when Mexico had when Texas had a power outage. Why you going to Mexico, dog? Your state needs some help. Why don't you go over to Washington, D.C. and petition for some of that federal money?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So one of the first things you got to do is realize that you don't know them, you don't own them, and there's more important things to be observing. So that's what I did. And as soon as I figured out that there was more important stuff than whatever is on the cover of People magazine, these people don't matter. Why do you know more about J-Lo and Ben Affleck's marriage than you do about your own friends?
Fair.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that to you, history, but dear listeners, if you know more about some celebrity something than you do about the own people in your own family, your own neighbors, the folk on your block who can help you out if some things go south. Ben Affleck ain't gonna do shit for you if your house burns down, but your neighbors will, your family will. That's who you need to be worried about. And all this is just a distraction to get you to pay more money with whatever they do. I don't care if Kevin Hart is on DraftKings and is on, I don't know, whatever. He was on a YouTube ad today, and I don't care what he's selling. It doesn't matter because I don't follow Kevin Hart like he's some kind of leader. He is a celebrity. He don't matter to me. What he recommends me to get has nothing to do with if I'm going to buy it or not, as much as these targeted ads would like to see. So go figure out what really matters, y'all, and then you realize that celebrities aren't generally a part of it.
Okay. I'm gonna ask a similar question, but I'm gonna flip it a little bit. Jamel Monet just recently came out with her new announcing her new album. Have you guys gotten to see any of that PR?
That craziness?
Them titties.
Yeah. So and this is apparently supposed to be her coming out. Now Janelle Monáe has went public by saying that she's queer, right? And so, but a lot of people say that this is her coming out as lesbian. And so
I thought she was pansexual.
From what I heard,
I don't know how a skillet turns you on, but that's what I heard about her.
as God damn it, as a pansexual man, the only fucking pansexual on here that's been open about this shit, I feel really fucking offended because I have replicated with the opposite sex.
Pan enough for me. What is your body count when it comes to cast iron? That's all I need to know.
God damn. Fuck.
You gotta call yourself something different.
Oh damn. Pan, the word pan means all, but that's okay.
Right, but I don't see you fucking no speakers, bro. So like, let's be honest. That's kind of a misnomer.
It's about hearts, not parts, man. God damn it, respect that. Respect that P.
See, the thing is, the parts don't stop you. That's what that's supposed to mean.
Nah, hearts,
and so
parts.
First off, and here's the thing. I don't give a shit about a celebrity's identity. Whatever they self-identify as does not affect me.
But this is now replicated at art.
Unless I see Janelle Monáe at a party and she over here like, "Hey, Jonathan, what's up?" I don't care. She don't matter, dog. She's irrelevant. Whatever she's doing is probably just to get more spotlight.
Fair enough. But this is now her art, though, versus her actually putting out something for being out in public.
Art,
So this is her art.
Softcore, mainstream softcore.
Yeah, she didn't get banned from Instagram. I'm surprised. I'm surprised about that.
Or did?
Didn't. Because they got the original photo and they got the fake photos on there. So the blurred out photos. Twitter makes sense, but Instagram, they got it blurred and unblurred in some of them. So
that's another story for another time. We can talk about free the nipple next week. Does it make sense? Yes or no?
So do you think that like when you have a person who is actually putting their lifestyle out there in their art, we should still have access to that person?
Personally, I think social media is giving people way too much access anyway. I think the world would be better if stuff like Twitter or Instagram. Honestly, Twitter should be shut down because it serves no purpose. It doesn't add anything to society. It's toxic. It's poisonous. Yeah. Oh, people make money off of it. The trade-off ain't worth it. We know too much about celebrities in general. Like, people are way too damn nosy. It used to be fun when you had like shows like Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous or Cribs, little Access Hollywood, Entertainment Tonight, little stuff. You know too damn much about these celebrities because you get situations like knowing all this shit about Will Smith and Jada Pinkett or the Kardashians or Ben and J-Lo or whoever. I know I don't watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians, yet I know so much about the Kardashian family because I'm inundated with it from other people, from other people that I know, from other shows, and it's too much. I'm glad that I know so little about Denzel Washington. I'm happy that I didn't know or care about the personal life of Queen Latifah until she chose to share that detail. It wasn't none of our business. Doesn't really matter to me. As long as you're not fucking kids or killing people, as long as you ain't Epsteining it up, I don't care who you bump bellies with. I don't care who you choose to love. That's none of my business. I don't really care. That don't affect how the movie or TV show or album are going to be. I want to see the titties. I'm going to see the titties. Janelle Monáe titties, 5 out of 5. I don't know if I'm going to listen to the music, but titties were nice. It really don't matter. People are too damn nosy, and it just don't. Like,
listen, bro.
If you are,
as far as I'm concerned, the titties don't make the music good. So just because you got some jugs, you be flaunting them around, that doesn't mean that you got a hit song all of a sudden. But let's be honest, Janelle Monáe is not a first string music artist.
Oh damn, I feel offended.
I'm gonna say this.
I would take that.
She ain't standing up there with Beyonce. She ain't standing.
I will
up there
completely argue that she shuts down Beyonce.
Nah.
I'll say this one last thing before y'all get into the debate: is Janelle Monáe on Beyonce level? No. Before y'all get into that, I'll say this: if you're a young gay teen and it helps you come to terms with who you is, hey, that's beautiful. But at the end of the day, we know too much about people. We're in each other's business way too damn much. It's why all these bathroom laws, that shit annoys me because it's like, dog, why do you care so much about who's pissing where? It's all going in the same place. Like, so much stuff is people don't know how to manage business, and it's like I don't care. Like, just make the bathrooms gender neutral. Let everybody piss and shit in the same place. Like, get it all out there.
All the way
Do it
down to
old school Roman
all you gotta
style.
do.
Do it old school Roman style and have big ass troughs where y'all shit so we can all see each other. If it's that important to you. I don't care. So much of this shit I don't care about. And it's just like, we get obsessed with it. Celebrities, too much of their business is out there. Mind your own business. If you a celebrity, stay off of the gram, stay off of Twitter, stop putting your shit out there, and then maybe people wouldn't be so obsessed with you. But and you sped past the Jamie Foxx thing. It was disgusting how those sites were just saying, "Oh, Jamie's close to dying, his friends gathering around." I thought that was bullshit. It was disgusting. It's a shame his daughter had to come out and just had to put that out there. But be more discerning with the information that you get, and more importantly, mind your own business sometimes. I said what I said.
The only reason why I kind of just went past it because of the fact that it's very common that you kill all fucking people, and they killed a lot of people off with social media shit. You know what I mean? And then just recently they announced that like they're gonna do a new TV show with Corinne and Jamie Foxx, which Corinne is Jamie Foxx's daughter. So it's a whole nother thing. So it's obviously he's gonna be working soon. But I guess the only reason why I say that, like, it's kind of important a little bit, I guess, play devil's advocate on this. It's important that we still have like access to their life. I just don't think that they should be within range where we have to sit there and say, yeah, Jamie Foxx, he's dead. Now I have to have more information on that actual person's death. Like, we should not be looking for, I'm pretty sure that people were doing that. Where my best example is when Kobe Bryant passed away. And there was a picture, supposed to be the pictures that was supposed to be, eventually was going to be leaked of the actual crash and accident. That's kind of like information that should not be there. Kind of should be following HIPAA laws at this point in time when it comes to certain stuff like that. But as far as representation, I think that is important to be able to have stuff like where you have a person like Jamie Foxx who has a kid, but yet still he's human enough to show that he's sick, right? And then also rebound from that sickness. Janelle Monáe is a spectrum of person, should be there, but not necessarily be where it should be the forefront of everything. I think that like you should be able to be creative and stuff like that, but I think that now it's getting to the point where you have the people who are not the enigma no more and just mind their own damn business when it comes to putting stuff out there. So I should not have to focus on Janelle Monáe's lifestyle and be at forefront of the actual music itself. That makes sense what I'm saying? So with that, we are wrapping up our we got 2 more movies actually. We are getting close and we're doing an actual birthday movie request for this week for our romantic month. So first off, let's say happy birthday to the great queen Miriam, or Wakia, aka Wakia. Yeah, that is Miss Voice, aka Gracie the Voice. So
that's
big shout out
Mrs.
to
That's Mrs.
Mrs. I'm sorry. Yeah, I apologize. The English language.
You married, bro. You know how this works.
Man, I hate the English language, man.
Me too.
I hate the English language.
We need a new one. Let's go back to Latin.
I kind of want to go to like what South Park was, where they had the people for the future. They had put like French, Spanish, English, and like Latin and all the rest of it, and it was just only saying "gark" throughout the whole time. It'll be easier, just "gark, gark, 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 gark." Be fucking easier, right? But with that, so this week we're doing The Notebook. Jamel, this is where you have to lead us and guide us in the movie reviews, baby. Talk to us about this damn movie.
Yeah. So first off, again, happy birthday to Wakia, happy birthday to Miriam. Thank you for having us watch this. The Notebook was released in 2004. It is based on a 1996 novel by Nicholas Sparks. Nicholas Sparks is a pretty prolific writer, especially of more romantic features. Some of this stuff includes A Walk to Remember, Message in a Bottle, that have been turned into movies and have a pretty strong following. Dear John, Channing Tatum joint with Baby Girl with Eyes, Amanda Seyfried, that's her name. Yeah, it is. It's about these two white people. It's hard for me to really generate passion for. Let me be professional. It's about a romance between a young couple in the 1940s, one of whom played by Ryan Gosling, the other played by Rachel McAdams. This is relatively before they blew up really into the stars that they are. Ryan Gosling coming off of stuff like Remember the Titans, Mickey Mouse Club, this show on Fox Kids that was about a young version of Hercules. I believe it's called Young Hercules, not Young Hercules. It's called Hercules. No, I'll be damned. He was actually on Young Hercules. So anyway, and one's poor, one's rich. How will they coexist? And it's in the South.
Which, by the way, makes
this
a
JT, we kicking it off with you.
This
JT, we kicking it off with you. What you think of the, what you think of this damn couple? What you think of these two people, Duke or Noah and Allison? I'm kicking it off with you, JT.
So look, this is one of the movies that sounds good in theory. Okay, like if you read the IMDb description, says a poor yet passionate man falls in love with a rich young woman, giving her a sense of freedom. However, social differences soon get in the way. The problem is that's half the story. The other half of the story is the couple makes it, and then they're old, and the woman has dementia, and her man reads her out of her notebook. That's hence why it's called The Notebook. I found like at least 3 problems with this, but I'm just going to rattle off a couple. First off, we never see her writing in no damn notebook. It would be different if she was sitting there scribbling and, this was something that he kept writing or whatever. It would be different if we saw them get together and have some kids. It would be different if we actually saw them fight to stay together, but we get none of that. All we get was, all right, and they fell apart. The parents kept him apart. He tried to write. Mom and them stole all the letters so her daughter couldn't read it. They couldn't keep in contact. He went off to war, lost his best friend, and didn't have no woman when he got back, and that was really whack. And that was pretty much about it. Other than that, he's still there doing the same shit that they talked about when he was a kid. That was pretty much it. Yeah, Rachel is the villain in this movie. Thanks, Wakia. Good God. Like, I tell you what, she's not a good person. Oh, and then you see them, we fight all the time. We fight so y'all niggas is toxic. You're toxic. You're immature pieces of shit. Oh my God.
Let me just say this.
Here's what would have been the saving grace, y'all. Here's what would have been the saving grace. If we saw how they actually got together and stayed together, and then we saw them throughout the years for any measurable amount of time. But what we get was the racist ass 1940s with a bunch of servants that are black, and that's the only time you see any black people in this movie.
Wait. You do. That's why I said this movie is a science fiction movie. But go ahead, finish what you was gonna say. I'm gonna point that out. I wanted to point that shit out so bad.
The black people are all the help, whether they're helping you out at the hospital or the rehab or whatever the fuck. Okay, these people are here. And they have been encapsulated in wealth and whiteness their whole lives. Mm-hmm. All right. We never see how they treat other people. We never see how they treat anybody besides each other. And that's it. Noah don't even talk to the parents. He don't even have a whole conversation with them. He never talks to them in any measurable amount of time. Talking about, I'm trash, huh, bitch? I got a plantation. You couldn't even do that. Or whatever. They had a plantation, but they left. But for real, like this couple, and then all of a sudden, old girl's like, you know what? I got a fiance, but I'm gonna go out and do my little walkabout right quick. Do I need to be worried? Fellas, if your woman ever says I need some time and I'm gonna go take a trip by myself, the answer is yes, you should be worried. You tell her no. you need to pack me a
She's
bag
for
too,
the
because I'm
street.
coming with.
You've already lost her if it gets to that point.
Duh, for real. And
You've
then she
lost
goes
her.
out and gets stroked out by Ryan Gosling. And you know, the funny thing is James Marsden is like the habitual Hollywood second choice. He is everybody's second
God.
choice. He got passed
With
over
the
in
there's one
Westworld for a
exception.
greater future.
God damn.
What was
The only
it don't
exception is
matter.
in
We're not talking about that exception. He is a side character. He's on the shelf. He is Elf on the shelf. He is watching you be naughty or nice. That's what James Marsden was in this film.
What about what's her name? Who played in Avatar and she played Gamora? I forgot her name.
Zoe Saldana.
Saldana.
She wasn't in this film. Why are you bringing her up?
She chose him because you say that he's always the second choice. She chose him in Death in the Funeral. She told your boy the Death in the Funeral.
That ain't this movie.
He also got. He also was a side. He also was.
You said that he's always second choice. That's all I was just saying.
He was also basically cuffed by Wolverine in the X-Men movies too.
He was. So, oh my god.
He knows his role.
A terrible
it's a shame
because they gave him a terrible Cyclops. It wasn't his fault.
Poor material.
Here's
the thing. I think it's
in this movie too.
Here's the thing. I want to say
he should have tried to beat up Ryan Gosling in this movie.
Well, he said that. He said that. I don't know whether to go whoop his ass.
I heard what he said, but the problem is he didn't do shit. He was just there. He was a friggin' placeholder to be a rich white boy that was acceptable to Mummy and Daddy. That was it.
I think
they didn't even let the guy act.
I think he made the right decision, even in general when it comes to that. But yeah, no, I give it to you. He did nothing in this film. He did nothing but
if he's so rich and he got all this money, he don't need her. He can go find another one.
I felt like it would have been poetic. I felt like it would have been poetic that they would have just introduced him to the girl who Ryan Gosling was fucking during the thing, because that's all she wanted was love. He wanted love too. It would have been kind of nice to show that they would have met each other and made this thing kind of work in a weird way. That makes sense. You could have rounded, because this is a fantasy book.
There could have been some interference over there that was positive. Yes, you're right. Well, we didn't get any of that. And what we got was a ham-fisted, very forced relationship off your first time over here, and you just couldn't forget it. But then she go and get stroked out by Ryan Gosling in the same house that he tried to stroke her out in the beginning and wasn't able to close the deal. You know what I'm saying? But like, she's like, oh, that's what I've been missing this whole time. And I was like, oh, now she dick whipped. She ain't going nowhere. It's a wrap.
She was dickmatized.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
The romance starts off bad because this nigga, the Ferris wheel shit is weird as hell. Because it's just like,
why did she pull his pants down?
Right in front of another dude that was trying to holler at her.
Another dude. And I was just sitting over here. If I'm Ryan Gosling, I'm pulling it out. I'm like, here you go. What's up, girl? Check this out.
That's why I say that this movie.
At that point, you might as well.
This movie was a sci-fi film. So here's my first reason why this was a sci-fi film. So he was really quiet. He randomly see this girl across it. And I was like, okay, cool. Guy see girl, go across. He went to go holler at her. And D climbs up the Ferris wheel. And he does this reckless ass shit.
He didn't climb up the Ferris wheel. He jumped on the Ferris wheel.
Yeah.
And then went up. He hung onto it after they stopped it. For some reason, they stopped him up there instead of letting it go a whole revolution and then yelling at him.
Yes. So they stopped this thing. Which that's why I say this film is a sci-fi film. He holds it there, and I'm like, man, if this was 2020 or 2019 that this movie came out and that scene played out, this movie would be absolutely hated because of the fact that would be him forcing himself upon her at that point in time, if in theory. And then also on top of that, like a few scenes later, like when they actually get together, they have the dad and her, they are all chilling with a bunch of fucking like white people and black people as they play music. You got the one little black kid who tap dancing his ass off. Ryan Gosling, who is pre-La La Land at this time, has no
Didn't have the moves.
Didn't have the moves. And that's what the first thing I thought was, this takes place in North Carolina in the 40s. These motherfucking black people will be hung hanging out with these white folks.
South. No, it's let's correct that. It's South Carolina. So
South Carolina.
No, South Carolina. Same difference. Like at the end of the day, it's somewhere south in the 40s. Niggas will get hung.
It's New Bern, North Carolina. That's where it's supposed to be set.
In the movie, and right here, it says Seabrook Island, South Carolina. They
were in South Carolina. We saw it all over.
And Charleston. Yeah. Maybe the book takes place in North Carolina, and they weirdly
the novel from which the film was adapted was set in the town of New Bern, North Carolina. But yeah, it's based off of
that ain't got shit to do with the movie, dog.
But either way,
the movie
it's
takes
Carolina.
the source material and Hollywood perverts it and tells a different story. This is the problem with adaptations. You can't quote no book. Talk about that's about where the movie was set. We talk about the movie, dog. We can do book reviews later. Different episode.
But yeah, it's just the fact that this was such a fucking like wild movie. And the aspect that like we went through the war. I was expecting, can I ask, so I was expecting the scene when she became a nurse. I was expecting that body cast to actually be Noah. What about y'all? Excuse me, so sorry. When you actually was watching the film. The way that they look like
dialogue.
Well, based off of the way that they did the scene, they showed Noah standing next to his friend, and he was dead, and then they got this person that's in the body cast. I was almost expecting that to be Noah in that body cast. And the way that the makeup looked for a second, I was like, I had to double take for a second. Is that Noah or not? And then kind of went from there.
I wasn't, because it's a movie and I'm like, something stupid's gonna happen. Like it's a typical like romance movie where it's like, oh, it's at the point where they gotta be apart for a little while. So I was like, that's not Noah. It would have been like, that would have been different. That would have been a new twist. Like, oh, maybe that if it was Noah, they could have gotten to like reconnect and know each other a little bit better. And maybe he could have brought up that none of his she could have brought up that I never got any of your letters or something like that. That would have been different. That would have been a new twist. And it was like, hey, maybe we get together. But then we wouldn't have this toxic ass weird relationship and James Marsden getting cupped and all sorts of stuff. I hate all the people in this movie. Ryan Gosling, I will say this, he always tries to dance in some shit pre La La Land. Like, remember the Titans? He always tried to do a little jig, and Mickey Mouse Club, he tried to do that little stuff. So not a surprise that he always tried to do a little boogie, but he finally got to get in La La Land. So,
do you feel like this movie?
Go ahead, history. All right.
No, I was going to ask you. Let's go. Actually, I know that we called it toxic though throughout the whole time. But Rachel McAdams' character, I felt like this is when we compare to like other films that she's been doing after the fact, right? I felt like this was the happiest that she was in the movie. Like this one, Mean Girls, and what's the one that she did with Rob Schneider? She did a movie with Rob Schneider at one point in time. But do you feel like she was like a super happy character? It felt like she was super she wanted to be there in that film. You could tell that she was actually trying to act her ass off in this film.
If you want to talk about that, Rachel McAdams looked happy to be playing across from Ryan Gosling because he was only 2 years younger than her. So he was at least in her age group. Unlike, The Wood.
Fair.
But at this point in this movie, I think part of what Rachel McAdams was happy about is she didn't know what was going on with her life. And then Ryan Gosling's character made her aware that she was unaware of what was going to happen. And somebody else was making all these decisions and stuff. He said, here, come here and lay in the friggin' road with me and look at the stoplight. No, thank you. That's my answer. Nah, dog. Oh, you don't do what you want. Yes, I do. That's why I'm standing out here. And then she almost got hit. Oh, best first date ever. Nothing says romance like almost dying because you're dumb, laying out in the friggin' road. You already know in this
Come
day and
on,
age.
JC.
Don't try that shit at home.
Ain't that romantic? Laying in the middle of the dirty ass street and nearly getting killed. Ain't that just romantic?
No,
What girl wouldn't
No.
fall for some shit like that?
no.
I felt like that was some real Southern poor shit. And I'm from the South. That's some real Southern poor shit. That really was
History, would you do that? Would you do some shit like that in the middle of the fucking road? Sit your black ass in the middle of the street.
I would
Let's
not
stare
see
at the
myself in
stoplight.
the
Would you
road,
do-
but I definitely do know that like there's people who will walk out in the middle of the road and they just like stargaze. I would not do it just to look at a goddamn stoplight.
Nah, the answer is no, bro. Because you know one of these racist crackers is gonna come through, run you over, talk about I couldn't see him because he blended into the pavement. It's not gonna happen.
Yes.
Or he jumped out and I felt scared.
Listen, I need y'all to understand this. Okay.
Yes.
When you black, there's certain things you just don't do for fun. And putting yourself in danger is generally not one of them. That's
In
something
the
that we
40s.
all kind of share. I'm not going to voluntarily put myself in extra danger. Why?
These are white people.
Because it can be challenging to get out. Because I can't guarantee that I'm going to have help getting out of that danger. You know what I'm saying? And this is one of the reasons why this movie is dumb. Is you got to look at this shit and be like, man, that's some white people stuff just sitting in the road. I wouldn't. That thought would not cross my mind. It would never cross my mind.
The freaking part of your mind, but the half part, that half part would probably go lay down in the middle of that road, right, JT? Brad, you broke up. wait. Repeat that, man, because you were breaking up on that part.
I said the half part would look at the other part, and be like, you know what you talking about, dog? Because we're not doing that. We're not doing that shit. That's dumb.
I just imagine what my mama would say if she heard, "Get your ass up off the street. What the fuck is you doing in the middle of the?"
And you put your little girlfriend in danger.
Yeah,
you getting them good clothes, boy. You better.
See, I feel like we need a white.
Even though they were both.
Go ahead.
Nah, maybe that's it. Maybe you need dumbass, crazy country white friends to do some stupid shit like that. Like I've stood outside when we had a porch and shit and just looked at the stars while I'm on the porch. Not, let me get in the middle of the street. One, motherfuckers drive reckless. Also, this is the 40s, so car technology ain't exactly at the peak, and these cars are all made out of heavy ass metal. So that car, if it's going that
you
speed,
saw when he hit that gate when she left, them brakes don't work.
You would have been disintegrated. So that was all types of
brakes.
All types of stupid.
Yep.
All right, so
yeah,
history. I got to
go ahead. Finish what
go.
you said.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying.
Go
I feel like that's just some poor white people. That's some like poor white Southern people shit. Because I've seen like some wild shit that white people do down south just for fun, and this takes place in the 40s. And it doesn't surprise me. Go ahead. Ask your question, though, man.
No, I was gonna ask. Is there an angle of this movie that y'all think could have improved it from, like, this again? I know what Kia put in the chat, the book was better, and it's based on the book. But disregarding the book, is there an element of this movie where you're like, okay, that could have made this movie better? I think one would have been more interactions, maybe between Noah and baby girl's Allie's parents. Maybe we get a deeper explanation as to why mom did what she did, or like what would be a thing that you would change to up the quality of this movie and maybe make it a little bit more palatable. History, we'll start with you, and then JT will head over to you.
I would have had this narrated by I would have had this be you know what, I think that this is the curse of like being in the future, watching this film from that was in the past, is the fact that I would have did the Castle Rock route. So Castle Rock did a really good job by doing covering dementia, and it was a blend of like past and present inside of one particular thing. And I would have had it where she opens up her book, and you started off, she's opened up her book, but then you see her pick up that book, and while she's in the middle, like she's done writing and everything like that, have Noah character walk over to it and kind of sneak and read it to see if she's having a memory, because we're trying to figure out if she has any memories, right? But when she walks over there to play the piano, and she does stuff that actually triggers that memory, we actually trigger that scene. So when she went to go play the piano and Noah was like, no, she's doing this off of memory, we should have had that's supposed to be sex scene inside of the actual Windsor house where they were on top of the piano doing this thing. I think that would have been a better aspect of it that you could have held on to. So I love the fact that Noah was reading and understanding these parts, but I would have just had it where he's not necessarily reading it, but he's actually catching glimpses that actually she does remember them. Because that was the whole thing. They were just trying to figure out for a while until we figured out that Noah is sick himself, that do she remember everybody? Because she didn't remember her whole kids. And that's another part that should have been held on too, is that the kids came. We should have some type of memory of that as well. But what about you, JT? What do you think should have been held on to?
I don't see how you can dictate the terms of this woman's dementia. That don't make no sense. She should have remembered her kids.
This is a fantasy book though, man. This is not like a based off a true story. So you could write this where she remembers certain parts.
Or want some shit based off a true story? I went to go see my granddad when he was still living. I only had one my whole life, and he didn't recognize me. He didn't know who we were. We had to explain to him we were his family. He just kind of, oh, okay, accepted it. And it's weird when people got dementia because they just kind of go along with some shit. And then, obviously they had the woman freak out and stuff like that. But when she said, how long do we have? And he said, last time it was 5 minutes. Y'all don't understand. That's real.
That is real. That is real.
Dementia's a bitch, man. And there's various forms of it and various forms of temporary memory paralysis or whatever you want to call it. People just don't remember shit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that I really wanted to know. How did it start? How did it happen? And in order to improve this movie, I think that the dementia was such a big portion of it. We didn't even mention when it started. What happened to it, what the kids did. Do the kids come see you every day too? You know what I mean? We'd have none of that. Really, I think that this movie was the best in the present, in the modern times. Them old people killed it. They were great. They absolutely slaughtered the role in the best kind of way. But we didn't really get a lot of time with them because they were sitting here reminiscing and going back. But I'm telling you, man, that dementia shit, that's not fun. My grandma got dementia now. And I was just at a funeral on Monday and, just taking her around to see her family. Was her cousin that died, and taking her around to see the family. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? And these are faces that she's known for 50, 60 years. Mm-hmm. To say, who are you to all these folks? So dementia is a evil thing. It robs you of your humanity. It robs you of who you actually were. Mm-hmm. And in order to see that, can you imagine getting your wife back just to have lost her to dementia? Come on now, that would have been something. I think that in order to really bring this movie home in a way that mattered, you would have had to focus on some of these trials. The second thing I think would really make this movie better is we never once saw these two fighting for each other. It was a love of convenience. You were there and we got together and it was hot and heavy the whole time. That's all we saw. That's all we saw in the past. And you don't stay together if you keep arguing, if you keep putting your hands on your man and slapping him around and stuff. You know what I'm saying? That shit ain't cute. I tell you, a woman come up, slap me, she getting slapped back, dog. Like, nope. It's not cute. It's not cute. And to have this shit on here, talk about, hashtag relationship goals. I want to scream at my man and hit him and beat him in the chest to have him give me a kiss. You trifling. You trash and you toxic. You probably should be single for the rest of your life.
Well, smack himself and then give you a kiss. And that's
after she smacked him. He was like, oh, you didn't do it good enough. I'll do it for me.
Yeah, he smacked her.
But what I really wanted to see out of this movie, and what I really want to see out of any proper romance film, is you fighting for your relationship. I think she should have told her parents off, nah, fuck you, I love him, I'm gonna stay here, whatever, da-da-da-da-da, throw my whole life away, and they hit it with the okie doke. Now you get in the car. You know what I'm saying? That would have been one thing. But the whole thing about, oh, other people got my life planned out for me, he's telling her the whole time, do what you want. He just wanted you to want, like, as a man, I just want you to want me. That's what he's trying to tell her. And she needed to make up her mind. As soon as she brought the letters, we knew what was going to happen. She gonna bring the letters back to the hotel room to go look at her fiance in the face. Talk about, I gotta read all these. If you don't throw them shits in the fire, then you going back to him.
Yeah.
Simple as that. But she didn't. She didn't even have like a contemplative. What am I gonna do with all these letters? You know, she didn't have a time to herself in the moment to reflect on that. And so this movie had no reflection. This movie had no fighting for what you love. This movie had no overcoming resistance. It was completely a love of convenience. And I thought that was whack.
So two things real fast. So only reason why I think I'm gonna agree with you, but I feel like the dilemma though is that media wise, when you have a person that goes through dementia, we always get them stuck in the past. And I've had personal experiences working in a nursing home with people. But then if you talk about close to home, my grandmother had dementia really bad before she passed. Her issue actually was not necessarily the past. Now, granted, she did forget people. But one of the things that my grandmother used to, her biggest thing that she did was before she passed away, when I went into the Army, it was 2010. My son was born April of 2010. I went in September. She started having dementia around like November that year. Went to go visit her and went to my actual duty station in December. And one of the things that she used to do was call me, but she used to call me and other people. And she would say, hey, why is Jason's son at the edge of the bed crying? And she would ask that question to my family members. She was hallucinating that my 12, 13, 14-year-old son was coming to her every day. He was having a bad day at school and he was crying and upset. And then she sometimes at points in times actually talked about me having a daughter and stuff like that. So she was actually going into the future. Well, we're all like, who the fuck is Jason's son is only like a few months old. He's not in school. And so it was a whole thing that like my grandmother was doing. She was going future tense while everybody was thinking that she was stuck in the past at points in time. She did forget a couple of people, but she was definitely more future tense in her dementia. And I've also had people who got stuck. So we had one guy, he was a Navy guy, and he was a boxer, and he used to punch the walls and stuff like that when he went to his actual dementia. So they had different people. That's why I said that, like, I think that it would have been nice to be able to actually see where these things would have triggered it. But you actually brought up a good point, JT, about the actual letters. Do you think that this movie would have been better if it was actually us just seeing her read the letters from him after getting these letters? So the movie actually would have been 30 minutes of her just, and not 30 minutes, an hour or whatever like that, because this movie is like 2 hours long. She finally finds these letters, and that's the actual notebook. That's how she remembers them. We actually get in the story from his perspective, because I felt like based off of what we've seen, it's not interesting. It probably would have been more interesting in his life, don't you think?
It definitely would have been a more creative way to tell a story, but ultimately the movie is called The Notebook, but we never saw the Notebook being produced. And that was
Correct.
what I thought was whack. It should have just been called like Our Story Together, you know what I mean? Like Our History. The Notebook seemed just like a placeholder that they just kept because they didn't have a better name for it.
Yeah. Or Seabrook or something like that. I mean, it would have been that's what the name of the, you could have named it Seabrook or something like that. Because that's where most of the love took place, is in Seabrook. So what about you, Jamel?
Ultimately, yeah, I think seeing, the Notebook written, I think why did they fall in love? Like what's the reason that they fell in love? And I honestly don't think we get a real sense of that. And that's for a movie that's aimed at romance for what we've been doing. It's like, why would they be together? And I don't. It is a marriage. It's a relationship where it's just like, we there, and if I'm being honest, he's like, she got a little money. Why not try and fuck her? Like, she looks good. It really don't seem like there was much to it, in my opinion. And I don't like the young stuff is what really irritates me about the movie. I think if we spent more time with the older people, I think if we spent more time with their children, like maybe, who knows, maybe one of their kids is reading the story. Maybe they're, there are different ways that I think it could have been. They could have utilized things a little bit more. And I think for me, it would just be have, dad and mom, kind of there together, and have their daughter, have one of their grandkids, have them, kind of go over and read the story to her, go over the story with them, and get that connection. But ultimately, I just think it's flawed from the sense of that this relationship was not. I don't see how these two people would have lasted all these decades. I just don't see that. It's one of those things where it's a good thing movies have a happily ever after or an end or credits roll, because so many of these movies have relationships that are really built on quicksand, which is not going to last very long. But HisStory, you were about to break that point.
Well, no, I think that I was going to ask you, do you think that it would have been different if it wouldn't have started this movie when they were 17 years old? Because when I think about this film, I think that it did do its job at the very beginning, being a summer love film. If this was just a movie about them being summer lovers, then I think that it didn't.
A period piece about them. If there was a period piece about them in love, or
yes,
we didn't do the whole Notebook frame. It was just we're seeing this relationship play out over the decades.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly,
so I felt like you needed to make a decision between it. Yeah, I'm about to say you had to make a decision. Either be a summer love film, and the old man is telling his kids or telling her about the time that we fell in love, and that would be the summer love film. Instead of this movie taking place over the course of, like, I'm estimating maybe 5 to 6 years. It probably would have been a better film. Do you get that, or do you agree?
JT, before I come in, you go right
ahead. Look, summer love is overrated. Okay, I will say it again. This was a relationship of convenience. We saw him climb up a friggin' Ferris wheel and then lay down in the middle of the street. All we can determine from these two actions is that this motherfucker's crazy. And she seemed to be into that mess because he was also down to earth. I don't know. But, for a rich girl, you'd think she'd have all the suitors around town. And obviously he was all like, oh, like, I'm becoming obsessed with you. And she was digging it. And, the funny thing is, I feel like a woman like that in this character, Ryan Gosling would have done better by ignoring her. You know what I'm saying? Because that would have driven her wild and be like, wait, what? Everybody's trying to hunt me down in this town. They know my parents are rich. Why don't you care? Because I'm not after you for your money. I thought you were beautiful, and I thought you had a great laugh. And once you smiled, I was knocked out. But obviously you're not into me like that. You want somebody who's just going to chase you around. Okay, cool. That would have been different. You know what I'm saying? But like it was, hey, I'm going to climb up here and then coerce you into giving me a date so I don't fall and kill myself. That is the most beta shit you can do. I'm going to kill myself if you don't go on a date with me, bitch. It's terrible. It's terrible. So, man, for real, dog, like this whole shit was not a good romance. All it was they had a hot and heavy fling at the beginning and they couldn't keep in touch afterwards. So they had some soul ties that was dangling in the wind because they didn't have no closure. And this is why it's important to get closure out of your relationship so you can move on to the next chapter. But obviously he was stuck on her. That's why he done the joint up with the blue shutters and the white paint and the sunroom with the paintings in it overlooking the river. But once she saw that, she should have been like, it was pretty obvious. He was trying to make this life for them, but she wasn't on board with the whole thing because she wasn't with him. But that shit right there, dog, like how can you compete with that if you James Marsden? You can't. This dude done built his whole life to make sure that it was ready for her to come back. Come on now, he's shooting fish in a barrel. And then once he laid the pipe and she was like, ooh, that's what I've been missing. Jimmy Marsden was trash, dog. He was trash at that time.
Fair enough, man.
This shit, there is nothing edifying about this because it's not real. It don't feel real. You talk to your parents, your grandparents about how they got together. They're gonna tell you some story that's way more practical than this. You know what I mean? This shit, I don't know, man. This movie is not marketed to me, bruh. This movie is not marketed to me. Yeah. When you talk about love,
and I think that's ultimately the problem.
Let me ask you a question, Jamel. Yeah, we all not the target audience. But when you love somebody, you got to sacrifice for them. What sacrifices did Rachel McAdams' character make in this film?
So here is my only thing that I would say that she did sacrifice. Technically, in theory, she did sacrifice the respect and love, compassion for her parents at first. I think that what makes it worse is the fact that you had her make up to her mom at the very end, with the mom telling the truth about her relationship, that they had this relationship with that she liked with this other guy who was a construction worker, and then that didn't work out. If we would have had simply heard that story probably at the very beginning, this probably would have felt a little bit different when it came to the relationship between the mom and the dynamics between the parents as well. Because one could look at it as the parents is if Rachel McAdams' character would have married James Marsden character. In theory, it would have been a repeat of that. And I think that that's where we could have just had that kind of be nailed a little bit different, where you don't want to be like me. You want to marry the person out of love and not because of the fact of what they can actually provide you.
But the mom did a terrible job explaining that.
Explain it, yes. So that's why
Jamel,
go ahead.
Was that it, bro?
No, go for it. Let's go
got
to
nothing.
Jamel, what did you see? Really, what did you see sacrifices?
She didn't give up anything, really. She just made a lateral move, leaving Jimmy for Ryan. She basically chose up. Like, even though he's rich, let's be honest, she didn't give up anything, really. And there was nothing. She gave up nothing. There was no sacrifice that you really had in this movie.
And that is why women like this film, because they feel like I can get me some good love and I don't have to give anything up to do it. Because you didn't see the pain of Rachel McAdams giving up her fiance. She needed to give him that ring back in this film. She needed to tell him, I just can't do it. I love you. I thought I was, but no, she over here talking about how she a duplicitous bitch. Because she's like, when I'm with him, I'm somebody different. And when I'm with you, I'm somebody else. All right, so you were Two-Face. Pick who you are. And that's what Ryan Gosling been trying to tell her the whole time. And that's the weird part, why she chose him after all. You know what I'm saying? So this whole shit, I think that's why these women like this movie, is because you can get love without really having to sacrifice anything. If you find you a dude that's desperate enough, that's head over heels enough for you, and he'll do whatever for you, then it's just gonna be magical. That's not how that shit works. Love is a grind. And if you're not willing to get dirty with it and stay in your lane and keep your nose to the grindstone, you're not going to be successful at it, period.
Yeah, I think that I'm going to say that you're right, that she had nothing to sacrifice. It did feel like he definitely gave up everything for her, because not only did he give up the dream house that he wanted, he built it specifically for her. He had a woman that was actually interested in him and wanted to actually pursue a relationship with him, but he couldn't get over Rachel McAdams' character at all. Ryan Gosling couldn't get over Rachel McAdams' character at all. And then it's not like he had to worry about family because his mom was gone, his dad had passed away. So he was the one that's losing a lot of shit. And I think that's why I think maybe it would have been a better movie coming from the perspective of those letters versus anything else. It's because of the fact that you would have been able to have a very, very intense moment and be able to actually get over the stereotype of what it is for a man to love versus actually having an actual kind of like cis kind of idea of idealism of love. And so it's cute that it comes from the perspective of her and in a little bit of a way. And then the only time that you're getting his perspective is in the present tense. But I don't feel like it works when you telling the story from like 5 different angles. Because you're not only getting it from the past, you're getting it from the future. But then also on top of that, time depth, you're getting it from there. Then you're getting it from a notebook. You're getting it from multiple different places, and it doesn't feel like it's very nailed down. But again, the problem is we're in the future talking about a movie that was in 2004. It's almost 10 years old. I mean, 20 years old at this point in time.
10 years.
Listen,
So let's
20 years old. That's why I said 20 years old.
Let's go ahead and get ready to wrap up. JT, any final thoughts? Go ahead, sir.
The Notebook is an overall meager film that is, I tell you what, a lot of these Hollywood movies that sell love good do a lot of lip service, but they don't do a lot of lifting. They don't do a lot of heavy lifting. This movie seems like it fills all of the gaps that the photograph missed in the wrong ways. You know what I'm saying?
Fair.
It feels like the antithesis. And I don't mean that as a compliment. I mean that as a dig.
Yeah.
HisStory, any final thoughts?
I want to say that it looks like they wanted to be there versus a lot of the films that we've seen. We've seen Love and Basketball, which the characters were dating, which is funny because the Notebook, apparently they were dating at the time too. We look at Love and Basketball. God damn, bruh. Let's not talk about the Yankee odor. So we talk about Love and Basketball, where they were dating at that time. So now Lathan and Omar Epps. And then you have Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams. Apparently they were dating at the same time during this film. And you can see that they wanted to be there versus Love and Basketball. So I will give him that. I definitely say that, like, to hammer home what JT said about like the old people. I was interested in the old people more than anything. And they were great, which is the second movie. This is the second movie in a row where the old people were more interesting than the actual young couple. Yep. So I think that was the funnest thing about this. When I was watching this movie, I was like, that's the first thing I thought was like, I could have watched the photograph.
James Garner, legendary actor, played old Duke of Noah, and Gena Rowlands, multiple Emmy winner. She played old Allie.
Yeah, I very much so enjoyed the old people in this film way more than I actually enjoyed the young people in this group. And this is the second movie that we had this in a row. So I felt like this movie had so much potential. I just think that I would have rather see, it's kind of like the Cocaine Bear story. I would have rather see the true story of this thing or the real written down documents of this versus actually what was actually put on screen. And this really made me feel like we need to stop fucking copying books into actual movies at this point in time. We talk about video games being bad put into film. This definitely kind of like it hits home that like we can't like really convert every piece of medium to another form of medium. So I would say this is definitely a mid fucking movie. This really just felt like a mid movie. And I had to watch this. Praise. Yeah, and I had to really, really sit down and watch this in multiple takes. Big shout outs to the library. Because I would have been pissed if I would have had to pay for this.
This was a waste of $4 as a rental on YouTube. So yeah, good for you.
I wanted to write y'all so bad and be like, dog, don't make me pay for this fucking movie. So, and we are never going to, I was like, bro, we are never going to fucking do a movie that we can't find on a streaming service or at a theater. I wanted to write that shit.
So now let's get into before we wrap things up, just a little background info on the movie. Again, book came out in 1996, and damn near almost immediately, the rights to the film were acquired by New Line in 1996. Steven Spielberg kind of caught the attention of that. He was just like, whoa, I'm not directing this shit. But it got the attention of other people. We kind of put that out. Tom Cruise was one of the people in 1998 when this was first being developed. Tom Cruise was one of the people that was ideal to play Noah. George Clooney was actually looked at to play Noah as well in 1998. Paul Newman was going to be old Noah, but George Clooney actually kind of shut that down. He saw some old Paul Newman movies, and he was just like, "God, we don't even look like what are we doing here?" As far as the role of Allie, the actresses who auditioned and were up for it were Jessica Biel, Britney Spears, shout out to her, Ashley Judd, and Reese Witherspoon. I'm gonna be honest, Reese probably would have killed this movie.
Reese would have.
Reese would have killed it.
She would have been dinner.
Yeah, and she nails that Southern accent pretty well too. But Rachel McAdams, she'll be fine. She had a pretty good year in 2004. Mean Girls came out, so she's fine. Also, yeah, they were smashing in real life. And Ryan Gosling, shout out to him, the GOAT. He went from Rachel McAdams to Ava Mendes. You the real MVP, bro. This movie was made on a budget of $29 million and made $117.8 million. God damn, white people love shit. All right, so let's get into the rating system. I think we are going to be united on this one. JT, The Voice, what say you? What is your rating of The Notebook?
Despite some fabulous supporting acting from some legendary actors, this movie is no better than a slumper. I was slumping the whole time. About an hour in the movie, I was like, I need a drink to finish this mug because this movie is dry. It is dry. Ryan Gosling didn't have no abs in this film, so I don't even know why he kept taking his shirt off, bruh. Like everything about this movie is mid. The love story is mid. The acting is mid. You can tell that these two was smashing in real life because they had some chemistry. But even the way that it was shot.
She spent 90 minutes of this movie screaming every time she's seen him.
Pretty much. And I tell you, this is one of the most unrealistic love stories because there was no adversity to overcome besides distance and you know, the parents cock blocking. So yeah, it's a slumper.
HisStory, what say you?
I don't give this a lot, man, but this is a dumpster, dog. I'm not even gonna fucking like sweat this, dog. I am like one of the few people who would say that like I really don't like Ryan Gosling acting. I feel like he gives you the
Did you watch Driver?
I watched Driver. I feel like he gets the same character, bro. I feel like after a while he becomes like Brad Pitt before Bullet Train and like before Angelina Jolie divorce. We get the same fucking character over and over and over and over again. And I'm kind of exhausted of like people who just come in and they just think that they can just Nick Cage their way in different variations, be a variant of Nick Cage in a different way. Like we have like calm Nick Cage in the Ryan Gosling character, and we have like other versions of like Nick Cage like personas in a lot of these actors. It's like when R. Kelly, remember R. Kelly was coming out with music and it was like trapped in the closet. Christ. R. Kelly was coming out with like random ass songs and you're like, I guess we're gonna buy this album because he's supposed to be the Pied Piper, but like he went on a 2-hour.
He was just telling on himself the whole time. He was obvious. Also, him and Bill Cosby really were snitching on themselves because y'all remember that episode of the Cosby Show where Bill Cosby made that barbecue sauce and he got people all trippy and touchy-feely. And it's like, oh, he was self-snitching the whole. He told us right there, and he was just like, nah. And people were shocked. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, this is, I really don't like that character. What I am I like Rachel McAdams, and that's the thing. I really didn't like her in this film, no matter what way that I could put this down. The only thing that I could say that I liked about her in this film, it looks like she's fucking happy. But even when I was watching this with because I had to have my wife is a buffer with some of these fucking films, because I need something to kind of like laugh at in between that, because my wife would help me just like make some kind of commentary to the shit. And so my wife straight up fell asleep on this bitch. So I had no buffer for this film. My wife in the middle of it fucking fell asleep. So I can't even say this is a slumper, dog. Like, it was straight up a dumpster, dog. We just gotta admit this, man. Just go ahead, do your thing, bro. Jamel, what
So
was your rating?
yeah. Before I get my rating, I do want to say this is an award-winning movie.
Mhm.
And first, let's give a quick shout out to James Garner. He was actually nominated for a SAG Award for Best Supporting Actor. He killed it, and Gena Rowlands, she killed it. But this movie won a ton of Teen Choice Awards. Choice movie drama, choice date
Those
movie,
don't matter.
choice movie actor. Of course, won Kiss Awards at MTV, the MTV Awards, and Teen Choice Awards. So we know who this was for. For me, JT, you were far too kind. It's I don't want to give it a dumpster. I don't want to give it that much energy. But this is a sleeper. It's not a good romance. It's boring. I don't like the young couple. I don't like anything about this movie. It made money. It set the standard for bad romance for all white women. It's stupid. I don't care for this. I hate the setting. In fact, fuck that. I'm going rat ass. It is below dumpster. I don't like this movie. I don't support this movie. I fucks with Rachel McAdams. I fucks with Ryan Gosling a little bit. Shout out to him again. King getting with Eva Mendes, remember the Titans and all that. But this is not a good movie. It's not a good romance. Nothing about this movie is redeemable with the exception of the old people's performance. Don't watch this movie. Don't support this movie. Don't rent it. It's made enough money in its lifetime. It is a 0 out of 5. It is rat ass. Don't watch. Worst thing ever. History. Take us home.
And here's the thing, man, and this movie probably would have been better if we would have just watched these two old couples hold on to their love inside of the nursing home, and just having this dude kind of fucking like Adam Sandler 51st date this shit with
Yep.
his wife.
Absolutely.
This would have been a
Yes.
beautiful fucking story. And so he comes every day to read with her, and then just it be a story, just a random story. And then she can, in just for that 5 minutes, for her to snap back for a little bit. This would have
Or it
been.
could
And
have
what
worked
was
as
that
a
whole
horror
I
movie.
live here now? What was that nonsense?
I was gonna ask y'all this too, because maybe I was getting the wrong perspective. That nursing home almost looked like the house that he built, right?
That's what I thought. But it wasn't
looked,
clear.
It wasn't clear because it looked like he
But it
sold
looked
that
an
house.
awful lot like it. Yes, it did.
And so they were off the lake the same way as the house was. Everything looked almost kind of like they just basically bought the house from him, and he just wanted to stay there because that was what the remnants was. So maybe that was just not good production budget. You know what I mean? I don't know. Alec Baldwin did a movie. I think it was around the same time, with Meryl Streep. And it was about them in a relationship as well. And it almost kind of comes off as that. It was about a divorced couple, and they were just like rekindling like their romance at the time. I kind of feel like this movie actually did a version of that, and it would have been a better movie. But it's complicated. And so Alec Baldwin was divorced from Meryl Streep, and then he wound up getting remarried to somebody else. But then he started sleeping with his ex-wife again, and it was some romance. But then it was about Meryl Streep rekindling her actual self, like hers own perseverance of like realizing that I don't want to be the side chick, but also I don't want to be under this guy anymore. But with that, man,
That movie came out 5 years after.
yeah, but I mean, from what I remember of this film, it was a little bit better than that shit. So
We spent too much time on this history.
no, we about to walk away from this, man. But we can't say that because we spent 2 hours on a movie once before that was actually an hour and a half long. So, with that, JT, man, where can people find you, bro?
You can find me on Xbox, JT the Voice, right here. Come play games with me, y'all. That's where you can find me this week. I'm not on Xbox. I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes, definitely. That fact, shout outs to Zelda coming out with another fucking game about him growing up again and grabbing his sword and shield again just to go save another little girl. Jamel, what about you?
Clearly didn't play the game.
That's what
you
just
can
like
find me
game like that.
Find me on here, of course, Thursdays. Once a month, we got Island of Irrelevancy, that podcast. Next Friday, we're doing big preview of the triple wrestling show weekend from WWE and AEW. Also, TikTok, Eastside Reviews, YouTube, Eastside Reviews. We got, life is progressing pretty well. Be on the lookout. I got a little video of my wish list for guest characters for Mortal Kombat 1. That'll be dropping hopefully tomorrow. I'll put that little short video together, and it's all happening. And I just took a look at young Meryl Streep. Not bad. Not bad.
Of course. So, for the Mortal Kombat thing, man. JT, you don't play Mortal Kombat though, right? You probably was like Mortal Kombat 2, Sega kind of like thing. Go out and watch that trailer, dog.
First Mortal Kombat I played, yeah.
Yeah. This might be a good place to start. So with that, you can find me every week on this actual podcast, the Historical Voices from the Eastside podcast. You can find the podcast wherever you get your audio acoustical pleasures from. Just type in Historical Voices from the Eastside podcast, or check us out at HVFE podcast.com as well. You can also find the podcast on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube as well. Join YouTube, man, and subscribe. We are actually on a goal right now. This week, we're on a goal to at least get 5 new extra subscribers as well. So big shout outs to actual YouTube. We're trying to slowly grow and be able to say that the good word, because the good words actually comes sometimes when we get a little bit stressed out and we get chaotic. When we watch films about toxic love relationships, and we watch the ones that's supposed to be about romantic relationships and summer flings. So we turn ourselves to the actual voices. JT, what will be the voice of reason this week?
I got a lot of stuff to say. We got 7.5 minutes. You need me to stretch? I'll stretch.
Go ahead. Do your thing. Work out the shoulder.
Listen, y'all. When it comes to love, there is only one power that is the authority in it. That's God. The best way to figure out if somebody actually loves you is to ask yourself, would you treat God like this? And you would be surprised how often the answer for a lot of people is yes. That is how they would treat God, because they don't care about anything and they don't hold anything dear. They don't have any reverence. But you can tell when somebody loves something because they revere it. There is a certain amount of essence that you put in there that you're trying to bring to any interaction that you have with this person because you want it to be positive. My old buddy Jerica told me, when you want to do better for somebody else or because of somebody else, at that moment, you are the best person you can be. When you're open to improvement, when you were open to treating somebody better than they're used to being treated, when you were open to stepping your game up, this is what love makes you do. And this is why love is a powerful force, because it's making everybody around them. So when I see these movies, these Hollywood movies talking about love, I'm not shook, because Hollywood has no idea what love actually is or what it even looks like, for crying out loud. You see these Hollywood marriages lasting for a couple months. That's not love, y'all. That's obsession, temporary. So when you really want to look for love, you need to look for somebody who's willing to do better for you. When you talk about love, you need to look for somebody who's patient, kind with you. When you talk about love, you want somebody who's trying to be their best version of themselves. And a lot of times, kids have an amazing way of doing that, don't they, history?
Mm-hmm.
Making you have to step your game up, making you have to go harder, making you have to do all the hard decisions and make sacrifices. If you have love and no sacrifice, does it really love? If love is not tested with anything, is it real? You don't know until you have any kind of adversity to overcome. And so when we watch these movies, this is what I look for. I want to see some adversity. What's trials and tribulations did this love overcome that wasn't just time and distance? Those are boring. Those are typical. Everybody has that. You got time and distance when you go home for the night if you don't live together. But when you actually sit there and you fight for somebody, long distance, you fight to keep them in your attention, and you fight to make sure that your attention isn't divided by other people who are distracting you. That's how you know that you're in love. That's how you know that love is coming into your life, and that's how you know you are open to being transformed. So this is what I'm really looking for when we talk about these movies. I want to see some adversity being overcome by means of love. I want to see how people's love makes them better. And honestly, I just this is gonna sound bad, y'all. I'm not sure if we can find that with white folks making movies, because there's some adversities there that is just not present. When you talk about when they were rolling up to that plantation and they had all the houses that was sitting over there that looked like it was the same joint from Django, just in a different season. I just thought to myself, like, now there's a story of how them people, did you know that some slaves used to have their wife on a different plantation at a different house working for somebody else? They would have to go get permission from Massa and them to go over there. Can you imagine get permission to go see your wife?
Yeah.
Incredible. Now that's some adversity that love has overcome. That's some trials and tribulations that you're talking about. That's something that's going to make sure, I can't mess up. I got to be good, because if I get put on punishment, I can't go see my wife this week, this month, maybe. So these whole things, this is not something you're going to find in Hollywood, because Hollywood doesn't know about it. Hollywood got a rich, cushy job, man. Hollywood has a nice house, a nice pad. They ain't had to struggle for nothing. And that's who keeps making these movies, is people who don't know anything about struggle. But if your love does not lead you through the struggle, is it really love? I don't know. I got more to say, but it's on a different subject. So, if you want me to take a little time, I can do that too.
Awesome, man.
What you think?
We're gonna do this.
For the sports fans, since we did touch on the NBA a little bit, Nuggets are now up 2-0 on the Lakers. 109, 106.
God damn. Shit. Actually, I was gonna do this off air, but I can keep my actual question off air. But go ahead, man. What you was gonna say?
I'm sorry, you cut out there, bro.
Actually, let's do it off air with the rest of it, and then we just add it to the rest of the podcast. With that, man, y'all stay dope, stay amazing. Y'all keep making history. Peace.